You weren't here last year, but dude, this year it's like bigger. It's better.
It's better?
Yeah. Dude, there's so many more people.
I can't wait. We're 2734 right here. Dude, I'm so excited.
This is gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be freaking awesome.
I want to hit up GameWorks because they have the Soul Calibur 3 machine.
They have the Sega party there.
Last time I had so much fun there, dude. That place is so awesome.
Dude, that place is awesome all the time. It's freaking. It's an arcade. How many arcades exist? I mean, where right now?
Dude, is this some kind of joke?
Did you know about this? I mean,
no. Why would I do something like this?
I don't know. I thought Matt booked the room. I mean, didn't he supposed to know? Well, I am not sleeping on that couch.
Dude, I'm not sleeping on that couch.
I'm not sleeping on that couch. You're sleeping on that couch, and I'm sleeping on that bed.
No. Why would I sleep on the couch?
Why would I sleep on the couch? The room is under my name.
No, it's not. Dude, who's holding the key? I don't think so.
Wait. Before we do this.
Whoa! No! Get up! It's mine.
What if life was more like a video game? We would play it all co-op.
I was really excited to get to go to PAX again this year because I hadn't gotten to go in I think 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I missed PAX East also.
Right.
And it was really nice to be back. I really enjoyed it. It's bigger than it ever was, but man, it was still just as fun as it used to be. E3 happens in the summer. I mean, it's June. Then July you got Gamescom, and September is TGS. And this year, beginning of September, and sometimes in August, you get PAX.
Yep.
So it almost seems like there shouldn't be too many new games to see there, but there was plenty of stuff. Right. I mean, what everyone now knows is that Duke Nukem Forever was on the show floor. We didn't get to go see it, but just the fact that there was a huge game with that people haven't seen for years.
I mean, day one, before anyone played anything, people were calling it Game of Show
just because it showed up.
Just because it was there.
I don't think anybody expected it. It was just totally random.
Yeah, we didn't get to see it, but we did get to see a lot of cool games. And over at Nintendo's booth, I think a lot of people were bummed on it because they didn't have 3DS there.
Right.
Yeah. And they had a few games like Other M and Dragon Quest IX that are already out and available.
Right.
But they had a lot of little stuff that I wasn't expecting that I really liked. There's this game called Fluidity, which looked a lot like a game that we covered on one of the last episodes of Co-op Live called Puddle, which was a game that was in the IGF Student Showcase. I think it came out of a French or German school, and it was just almost like a tech demo, really short. Just had it was kind of like Loco Roco. You just tilted the world and you were this puddle of fluid that flew throughout the stage. But Fluidity on the show floor here, which I actually haven't been able to find out who the developer is. It just is Nintendo showing it off. Plays almost exactly the same, except it has a ton of platforming gameplay elements in place, lots of little puzzles where you try to gather up these rainbow drops that are it's the same as collecting a star in Super Mario Brothers. But what is great is that there's these really, really giant stages that move off in a ton of different directions, and the little items that you want to collect are hidden all over the place. And the controls feel great.
Speaking of controls, didn't it have a jump or a shake or something?
Yeah, you can jump. I think you just shake the Wiimote or something like that. In the Puddle demo, let's just assume, I could be wrong, either these guys totally ripped off the Puddle team
or it is the Puddle team.
It's the same team, or they were both thinking, it's like that hive mind thing where two groups are thinking.
It's not unusual to have a game like this because there's already, remember those old oil water puzzle games?
Right, yeah.
Where you had pinwheels in them and then little mazes.
Yeah.
The Puddle reminded me of that in the first place because you're still just tilting this thing. And in Fluidity, it's the same, except they start putting like triggers and collection.
On the show floor, there was a trailer that was on the TV, like right above where you were playing.
Yeah.
And I saw that there was one point where the puddle like turned into ice, and you could take that ice and like float it across different other platforms and stuff.
Huh.
So it looks like there's going to be a lot more depth in that game than just being the puddle.
I mean, just based on that short play, I'm totally interested in getting my hands
Nice.
on the final version. I think it's a WiiWare game, and so I don't know when it's going to be finished or anything like that. But it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
Especially if you like platformers.
And
Yeah.
the Wii seems like the perfect platform.
I was surprised to get in so quickly for the new Donkey Kong because everyone was buzzing about it. I mean, we were at different parts of the show floor, and everyone would say like, "You got to go play the Donkey Kong." And I thought it was a little whack because the graphics are a little low res.
Yeah,
it's
I have
Wii,
to
of
say, I
course.
haven't been excited about this one just because of the graphics. Well, two things. That and I love Retro Studios, who made the Metroid Prime
Right.
games. And this, I wanted their next game to be something really adult, because the Prime games always seemed adult to me. But when I heard they were making the new Donkey Kong, I was kind of like, well, that's not what I wanted.
But all I've had from it was screens,
Yeah.
to judge it by, and it wasn't enough to get me excited about it. So to see it in action and to actually sit down and play it, because I got to play, co-op, and it was awesome because both of us were skeptical going in, and we were convinced by the end of it. At first, I thought it was just gonna be a kind of a remake, but it's actually a new game.
Yeah.
It's much more New Super Mario Brothers than anything else because it has like the same bubbling technique where if you lose Diddy Kong off the screen, you can shake the controller and he comes back. Diddy Kong can jump on DK's back, so he can get on his back if like one of the set of puzzles is too hard for two people to keep up on the screen. He can jump on his back and he can actually chuck bananas at enemies, making him like this little turret on his back.
The reason it doesn't feel like a remake is that Donkey Kong has new moves, it's not just the same attacks and motions that Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong did in Donkey Kong Country. Although one of the stages you guys were playing was like a railroad kart stage, which is something that we did, it was very Donkey Kong Country-esque. It was a game that I really didn't care about until I saw it at PAX. The other Wii platformer that we got to play that I liked was called Lost in Shadow. We had a few fans and friends come up to us and tell us that, if you haven't seen Lost in Shadow yet, you should go check it out. It's a Hudson game for the Wii, and it's visually reminiscent. It's a 2D side scroller, but visually, in terms of the textures and the lighting, it sort of looks like a Team Eco game.
Well, even the story,
it seems
seemed like a straight rip off of Eco, and what's the other games people were comparing it to was Echo Chrome, the platforming and everything.
You're a boy in a cage, and there's this evil beast guy, some sort of king of shadows, that comes and cuts your shadow away from you, the boy.
It splits you from him.
Right,
Yeah.
and so in this game, you actually play as your shadow, trying to find your actual body somewhere in the end of the game.
You were comparing it to another story.
I said it was very Murakami. It's like Hard-Boiled Wonderland. The same thing happens. I saw it from afar, and it just looked like a platformer, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But then once I got close, I realized, whoa, the platforming is actually in the shadow.
You got to play it, Ryan. I was curious how the controls work because you move your character with a nunchuck, but then like you're pointing with the Wiimote to the different objects that you had to move.
Yeah, so the idea is that it's sort of like Zelda, where you have a fairy that floats with you. Your cursor is like a Navi,
You have a Navi, yeah.
fairy, and so she's able to interact with, or he, I don't know if it's a boy. she or he can interact with the
There's gonna be boys too.
Yes, it's true. Can interact with the physical world.
Yeah.
And you can only interact with the shadow
Oh, so
world.
he's flipping the switches and moving the platforms
In
and-
real-
oh,
in
that's
the
pretty
real
brilliant
world.
then.
So you,
You're-
like, point
you're
at
moving like
something.
one hand is controlling one thing, one hand is controlling the other.
Exactly,
So shadow,
precisely.
real world.
I was told that there's combat in the game as well. I didn't
Oh,
get to
yeah,
see
yeah.
any of that, but it could be interesting. Another game that I saw that was pretty much, I don't know, it started to become the buzz of the show. Maybe it was just between us and our colleagues because of the pedigree of the game, but it's called Bastion. It was part of the PAX 10.
Yeah.
And the reason that we all heard a ton about it is because one of the members of the team creating it is former GameSpot EIC Greg Kasavin. Essentially, it's an sort of isometric perspective action-adventure game, and the visuals are fantastic. It looks like kind of like a Vanillaware game, like an Odin Sphere.
I didn't see too much of it.
Legend of Mana or something like that.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say kind of Legend of Mana-ish actually, because it's very like painted, you know,
Like watercolor
or I was gonna
painted,
say
or-
braid also.
Super bright colors, like reds and yellows, like lots of deep blacks. I don't know. It's a really good look to it. But what's interesting is that there's a strange dichotomy but between the way it looks and the way it sounds. It looks like a very sort of kid-friendly platformer.
Yeah.
But it has this really deep, heavy narration that goes through it.
The kid pockets a memento from the breaker, once the fastest man in the land. Good news is the emergency defenses still work. Bad news is they're aiming for the kid.
This narrator sort of talks you through every little thing. At the beginning of the game, the kid is in bed, and it begins not unlike a Zelda game in that way. And it says something like, "The kid was in bed," and then you move your analog stick, and he says, "And he got up." And then, like, you know, the game has this sort of visual style where as you walk forward down a path, all of the tiles that build up the floor kind of come up in front of you.
Right.
And it says, like, the world built itself all around him. When I played Alan Wake, I really didn't like that he was narrating everything that he was doing.
right.
No.
But in this game, it somehow works and it makes it cool. Arthur and Anthony, our friends from Rebel FM, I was talking to them about the game, and they've made it sound like Kasavin and his crew had an idea to really make the narration dynamic based on what you were doing. I mean, it seemed that way from what I've described to you, but it's all stuff that has to happen, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, they made it sound like based on your actions and the way you play the game, the narration might actually reflect that. And if that's true, that'll be super
That's
duper
really
cool.
cool.
Or it could get annoying too. I mean, you could walk up to like, you could be farming or something, you know, like farming, and go up to a chicken and like, he killed the chicken. And then like go back, he killed the chicken.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
back, he killed the chicken. You know, like
I'm sure that's something that they're
could
gonna
be-
have to get a handle on, you
Yeah.
know, making sure that it's not too much, you know.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. In terms of the actual combat, it feels not quite as deliberate as like a Zelda. And I feel like in Zelda you like take one slash and then, you know, wait for the enemy to attack and then you counterattack.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll happen later in the game, but in this it was more that you get to a spot, they spawn in a bunch of enemies, you kill them, a bunch more would spawn in, you kill them. It was really fast paced.
is the combat like mashy? I mean, do you,
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you got different weapons. You started with a giant hammer or something, and then very shortly after that, you get a repeater, like some sort of ranged weapon that
Right.
fires pretty fast.
Right.
And then after that, you get a bow. And then pretty shortly after that, there's a shop where you can kind of like choose which weapons you want to be holding at any time, and you can hold two at once.
Right.
Or maybe it is two or three at once. And then there's other shops where you can pick up potions that give you different abilities. So like, you know, at the beginning I said you start with a roll.
Yeah.
Before the end of the demo, you can actually switch it out and take something like a jump instead. You know.
Okay.
So I'm really interested to see the different variety of weapons and abilities that you can attach to your character, and then based on what you choose, it'll really affect how you play the game.
You know, that whole side of the convention was really cool. One of the things that really impressed me was Spy Party. Actually.
Oh, yeah.
And it was at first, you know, I kind of there's crowds that gather. You know, like Super Meat Boy, you know, had a really great crowd going on whenever, you know, one of the guys would attempt a boss. And he'd, you know, go through his 30th try, and if he gets really far and dies, everyone gets really into it, you know.
Or if he makes it,
or he makes it,
like, no matter what happens, the crowd is
Yeah,
like,
it's a very crowd awe-inspiring game.
Yeah!
So one of the other games that reminded me of that was Spy Party, because everyone was gathered around this one area, and at first I was like, why is everyone watching the fucking Sims? You know, because that's what it looks like.
Oh, and it was like, it seemed like really boring at first. Like,
yeah, it seems like you're watching the Sims, like a Sims date party or something.
At first, like as I'm watching, like I didn't really know what was going on. You know, you had like a group of people in this one room, you know, and I'm like, why is there a crowd watching this? This looks really boring. Like,
it's really slow too, you know, like everyone's
it's
just kind of
very
milling about.
slow.
The most that's going on is a dude is maybe like checking his watch. One guy is talking to another, looking
at books and like the bookshelves, like
who does that?
Walking around, looking out a window.
There was a manual sitting next to the places where the dudes were playing. You know, TLDR, too long, didn't read. It was this 2-page manual with really tiny text, like just wall of text on it that described how to play this game.
It looked like a pamphlet, though. It looked like one of those, like, is Jesus in your heart pamphlets, you know, that like...
Let's step back a second and describe the game. I mean, it's pretty... What's cool about it is that it's unlike anything else that I can think of.
No, I've never seen anything like it.
2-player game. One player plays as a sniper that is looking in at the spy party. It's just a giant screen with a crosshair on it, and everyone's head in the shot.
Every so often, yeah, you see this red dot or red line kind of come in through the window. It's like going across people's heads.
And that's in the other view, which is the guy who's playing the spy. So the spy gets to choose one of the characters that is at this spy party, and he walks in there, and his goal is to do a number of different actions as a spy at this party.
It's really interesting. The spy gets his list of objectives in the beginning, you know, so he says, like, check your watch 3 times, you know, pick up this book, bug the ambassador is always the last one. It's like signal the undercover agent. You know, you have all these objectives, and you have to do them with the mindset in mind that there is a sniper watching you, and if you act too organically or too out of place from everyone else, you will be spotted and sniped.
So the key to the game, I think what makes it interesting is, like you said, to act non-organically. The idea, if you're the spy, is to try to mimic the AIs, because there's all these other AIs milling about, and you want to blend in with them.
The sniper, if you shoot the wrong person and it's a civilian, it automatically says the sniper lost.
Right now the game has programmer art up the ass.
Yeah.
It looks like kind of like when John Blow showed Braid many years before it came out at GDC, and it looked nothing like it looked like after David Hellman came in and like painted it up and made it look all pretty.
Right.
So I assume when Spy Party is actually finished a few years from now, he never said the date, but I've heard it's a ways off. When it's actually done, it'll look way different than it looks now.
Yeah.
But there's
much less Sims.
Yeah, there's there's complex stuff. There's like paths all over the place and these little circles on the ground that sort of show where the AI are interacting with one another. And I don't know, it sounds, when you hear someone describe it, it doesn't sound like it should be fun. But to go back to how we started this conversation, the entire time I walked by this game maybe like 6 or 7 times over the course of PAX, and there was always at least 15 people crowded around the outside of the display area, and everyone was watching really intently. And as soon as the sniper fired a shot, either hitting the correct target or hitting the wrong target, everyone in the crowd just erupted.
To have all the mechanics based around behavior watching, you know, like, or behavior acting or watching, but it elicits such a strong response from the crowd because they're watching, they're on pins and needles as they're seeing this party play out. Sometimes these games would go on for, you know, I imagine what was like 30 minutes, you know, as the sniper just views and kind of...
Yeah, for the sniper, it's definitely a game of patience. I just think there's a lot of interesting potential for a game of this type, and I'm glad that someone is exploring it. It's going to be...
It has a lot of promise. Sure. This game is like none other I've seen.
Alright, let's do this. Okay, mic check, check. Levels, good stuff. Okay. Am I in focus, Cesar? Yeah, good. You need me to clap?
And
oh, Jesus Christ.
Seriously? Again?
definitely seems a lot bigger. This whole area, I think, wasn't it just a PC area before?
When I was here 3 years ago, yeah, this was like the PC free play room, and there was another room that was the exhibit hall, and I think this year that room is also an exhibit hall. So there's just, it's becoming much more like a E3, or maybe more like Comic-Con because the public's allowed in. It's pretty cool. Yeah. There's a lot of cool games here.
So we're here waiting in line, play some Mortal Kombat. Pretty excited. I think I'm going to start off with some Sub-Zero. I used to play a lot of Sub-Zero. Who'd you used to play, Ryan?
Everyone.
Played everyone?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character, though? You had to have like one favorite character. Yeah. You're a Johnny Cage kind of guy, aren't you? I can tell.
In the first Mortal Kombat, I really liked Johnny Cage because there were, in the arcade, there were versions that had like glitches in them. You could like pop off 3 of the heads. That was the fun thing about Mortal Kombat to begin with. Was
kind of broken?
Yeah, it was broken. It was like the original Street Fighter 2, how you could do touch of death and handcuffs and all that stuff.
Right.
Mortal Kombat 1 in the arcade had all sorts of glitches like that too that were really fun to train yourself to do.
I always thought those were features. They were glitches?
Yeah. No, they're features. They ain't bugs, they're features. Yeah. It just looks right. Like when I saw screens and video of it at E3, I didn't have a chance to play it there. I was like, that looks like, Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah. And I loved Mortal Kombat 1. I loved Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 3 I played. I wasn't quite as into. And then 4 and everything after I haven't been into. This one just looked right. And so finally getting our hands on it, I'm not disappointed. I only got to play one match against you. The fatality was the same for every character. It was just down in triangle, right. But it looked right. It was gruesome and ridiculous.
Well, I also like the addition of the kind of X-ray.
The X-ray move.
The X-ray moves that you can throw in look really cool.
Yep, X-ray moves?
But then,
see those.
they added those, but then also
they're kind of like half fatalities. Like it looks like you're performing a fatality, but it's not. Like the one I did against Jason, goes into an X-ray vision mode and like shows you do a really strong attack and changes camera angles. Like the one I did to Jason made his rib break. He like broke.
Oh, so it's like a Hall of Meat version.
Yeah,
kind of, I guess.
Think of it as like a fatality in the middle of the game.
Yes, without
killing them.
It's like without the finish me.
It's
just like throw in when you build
up a meter, and then once you have the meter filled,
think of it like a super in like Street Fighter in a way. You build up a meter, and then it's like boom, you can like do it instantly or whenever you want.
See, I didn't get to build up my meter because I just kicked the guy's ass so hard that I was playing. Yeah. I mean, okay, so this is the thing. The reason it's so good is because I was able to jump in with Reptile and Scorpion, and I mopped the ground with this guy. Only because I love
moves carry
Mortal
over,
Kombat
right?
1 and 2, and they totally carry over.
Yeah. I only got to play that one game, so it's not anywhere near enough to pass judgment.
The other thing that was really cool that they had too, like the setup was like old arcade machines with the HD screens, and then you had like either the PS3
new arcade machines with HD screens.
But they still had the arcade machine, body, but then the HD screens, and then we were playing with like PS3 controllers or Xbox, whichever machine.
It was a great layout for a convention booth for sure.
Well, I don't know, it brings back memories, back to when I was a kid, playing at the arcade.
That said, I would have rather played with sticks.
Speaking of arcades, they did bring back the gore and the blood too. A lot of it's there. I even saw them turn away 2 kids because they weren't 18.
Right. I felt bad for them,
but
I wanted to like sneak them in and be like, give them a little taste. Be like, it's all right, man. Go ahead.
When we talked to Ed Boon at E3, I didn't see the game, but we did get a chance to talk to him because we were there for an EGM interview. He did say that, and one of my favorite things about the old arcade games was that there was no such thing as GameFAQs back then. You couldn't pause the game and go to the move list or whatever.
Right.
When I played back in the day, like we'd get these printouts of like all the different move lists for each character, and some of them would be totally wrong because we just didn't have the right ones yet.
Right.
Some of them would be like halfway right, but we wouldn't have them. They revised the arcade edition and add new moves to the game.
Yeah.
I heard Ed Boon say that they want to try to kind of bring some of that to the experience. That doesn't seem to be the case based on what we played because you just hit pause, go to the move list, and it was all there. But I kind of missed that everyone sort of had to figure out how to play it as you went along. So I'd like them to keep a bunch of secret crap in the game that isn't easily available. And then, I guess the onus is on me to not go to GameFAQs. I don't know if we can relive those days in that way, but at least this game, and I think Street Fighter 4 to some extent,
kids has these days, they don't know what they got.
Yeah, I know. But that was another fun thing we did at this show was we got to Sega held a party at GameWorks Tuesday night out there where they invited around 800 people that were attending PAX to come into GameWorks out right across the street from the convention center and play arcades for 2 or 3 hours for free.
I think pretty much after we got some food, we went straight up to the fighting games on the second level.
But I have to, let's just take a moment here to say, I haven't been to an arcade in, years. And definitely, okay, that's not true. I have been. But all the arcades I've been to in recent memory have been mostly, dance machines or, skee-ball machines. None of them have, the games that I want to play, which are traditionally fighting games. But this place is fully stocked. They basically, except for a classic room that had a bunch of classic games, they basically had everything that I could possibly want to play. A huge fighting game area, tons of the machines that are, big and expensive that have hydraulics and stuff in them.
The only game that I think that was missing was Super Street Fighter 4. They had Street Fighter 4, but
I mean, that's getting nitpicky. Really? I have been doing arcade.
When was the last
recently.
time you went to arcade?
I've been doing arcade when I went and visited my parents in Santa Cruz. There was a big arcade there.
There is.
And you know what? But
I think that might have been the last time I went.
I have been to an arcade recently, but it was sad, man. I mean, no matter what time, if it's a Saturday night, even maybe the DDR machines are packed, but there's so many pinball and so many light gun games and so many drum games and taiko stuff. They're all left alone, you know. You don't see this Saturday night get together that you used to see when we were kids because people have everything they want at home, you know, and that's cool. I'm fine with that because I'm older, you know, now. But at the same time, I want to be able to go. I want to go hang out with my friends at an arcade, you know, and that you don't get to see that very often, except for PAX.
Think of it this way, at arcades, sometimes even on the Soul Calibur 3 machine we're playing, one of the little buttons was stuck, and even the Tekken machine next to us died. It's hard to keep maintaining these machines. You know what I mean?
The Soul Calibur 3 button machine didn't break until we had been playing it for 2.5 hours.
Maybe 3 hours.
I mean, we were there for a while. But I was kicking ass, in the Soul Calibur 3 machine. I think I was up 15 wins. I had a good 15.
Oh yeah, streak. You had a good streak there for a while, but that's because your characters, are, especially Sophicia, is super cheap in Soul Calibur 3. And so
Jason was wearing his co-op shirt.
That's true.
So he was advertising.
I forgot. Yeah,
we got to have our new shirts, and I think we even made a few sales at the arcade.
We got to play with some fans, which was really, really fun.
That was a lot of fun.
I mean, that's always the funnest part.
Nick came out.
Trevor,
and who's the guy with the mohawk? Dan.
Yes, Dan. We got to play with a lot of cool fans. Fans the same games that we are, and a lot of these guys were really good at Street Fighter, Soul Calibur, a lot of. So it was fun to hang out with these guys.
And the Street Fighter 4 machine, which admittedly was not a Super Street Fighter 4 machine, had at least 10 to 12 people surrounding it most of the night. And then beyond that, think about it. They let 800 people in there in addition to an additional amount of media that came in as well. And that place was packed. None of the machines seemed like they had a line that was too long that you just couldn't play it at all. It was an even distribution of people throughout all the machines at this giant... I mean, this arcade is huge. And I just love the sight of it all, man. Going in there, seeing all these people.
It brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah,
it brought a tear to my eye.
Boys, men, women, boys, girls, all
everyone
in the spot.
Was there.
It was just a joyous occasion, and I wish that I could go to arcades on Friday nights and hang out, like I used to when I was younger. And this place reminded me of that, and I really didn't think I'd get to see that again,
Oh man, yeah. It was a party I won't soon forget.
Yeah.
Cesar is going downtown.
Speaking of these fighting games, though, I'm looking forward to bringing them home with the new D-pad.
On the controller.
On the controller.
Yeah.
Xbox announced the new revised Xbox 360 controller with the twist D-pad that pops up.
I'm skeptical, man. I want it to be better, but I just don't understand really how that will make it better. Just being able to twist the D-pad and have the D-pad stick out.
Yeah, it sticks out and it sinks a little bit.
The innards need to be better. It needs to register the motions better.
We'll see. I didn't get to get my hands on because the only place I saw it at was at the Gears of War booth where they were showing off Gears of War 3 Beast Mode.
Oh yeah.
That is a game that I am super, super excited for. I'm still playing playing Horde in Gears of War 2. And but what's
How
cool
many kills
about
are you at now?
I don't know. I'm not even halfway. But
He's talking about serious.
I'm not gonna get seriously 2.0
Seriously
probably.
2.0, yeah.
But I mean, I still have time, so we'll see. I need to do more of the double XP weekends. But what really excites me about Beast Mode is that they're adding this whole new kind of gameplay with where you can play as these different classes. You start off like with the first wave playing as like a kicker, playing as a wretch, and they all have different movesets.
Right.
And then as you move up through the waves, you play as the bigger beasts. So we got to see some of the armored Cantus.
Yeah.
There was
regular Cantus, the snipers.
Yeah, then there was the worm, and then as you move up into even higher waves, we saw the boomers.
Butchers.
There was the butchers.
The butchers are ridiculous, man. They seem to take up like half the screen.
But they're also slow, and they are huge, which means they're big bullet sponges. Basically, you have a lot of area that you can be firing.
At the same time, those guys take a lot of damage. I saw them be bullet sponges and still just like slaughter like 4 cogs.
Well, then
that's because you get up to if a cog is taking cover there. I saw this one time where 2 cogs were taking cover. One butcher came up and swung real fast twice and took both of them out. I mean, it was like
right. They're very strong. But then also we saw a group of guys were kind of like cornered by like 2 or 3 butchers that just all came up and just totally cornered them. So they're very, very strong.
I mean,
then they also had the grinders, which are the boomers basically that walk around with the turrets.
Oh yeah.
And that weapon's super strong.
Yeah, but I wasn't getting super psyched on it because it's a ways off. But now that I've seen these additional modes, it at least tells me that they're doing something different with the gameplay. Now, it might be sort of the same thing that Left 4 Dead did with its zombie mode, and I mean, it's not that we haven't seen this before, but there's so many different beasts to play as that all play totally differently. It seems like it could be pretty darn fun, and it still looks as good as Gears has ever looked.
Yeah.
Right down the lane from there, from the Microsoft, there was also the Sony booth was demoing the Move controller with Heavy Rain. It's a perfect game to demo the Move controls, for people. And I think I saw a lot of people stop and just watch as the fight scenes were going on or as the attacks were going on.
I've shown non-gamers Heavy Rain, and it makes a really good impression because it's kind of like one of those look at how far games have come, I can't believe games can do this sort of experiences. Not with the Move controller, obviously, I don't have that yet, but it is unlike most other games in terms of the presentation.
Do you think it'll change the experience for you that much?
No, but I definitely think it'll be interesting, and I want to try. If I'm gonna play it again, I'm gonna play it again that way. And I'm interested in the Move controller. I know I'm different. I just like the crazy amount of accuracy. That's something that intrigues me, and I definitely want to play with them more than something like Kinect.
Comic in trouble? Readership at an all-time low? Then look no further than superhero for hire, Captain Smiley. Coming through, hottie.
Something that was at E3, but they had a full game at this time was Comic Jumper.
It's Twisted Pixel.
Twisted Pixel, the team
same
besides
guys that did
Man,
Explosion Man and the Moth.
It was okay. I have to admit, actually, before I start into this,
you have something to say?
The
something
art,
to admit?
I had a real problem with the art. I thought the characters were hideous. I was just like, why would anybody want to play a game with a protagonist this lame? But then I realized as you start to play the game, that's how you're supposed to feel because they're constantly making fun of him. And the whole gist of the game is this guy's such a bad character and such a lame comic hero
his
comic gets dropped. There's actual.
There's a reason why he's that way.
Yeah, they have like a live action scene, like a cutscene of after you play the first level, after you're like, oh, this is kind of a stupid game, or it's kind of a dumb character.
But I mean, that's how a lot of
the cutscene and everyone's ripping up the comic and throwing it in the toilet. One guy uses it to wipe his ass, literally.
So what kind of game is it though?
So it's a side scroller platformer, but then it changes. It changes a lot. You go from side scroller platformer to button sequences to
twin stick shooter
to
falling in the air, free falling Galaga kind of thing. There's all these.
Comic Jumper goes through 4 different kinds of comics, and what's really cool is each one, his character, his outfit changes.
So it's basically like a game with a whole bunch of different gameplay styles.
Yeah.
And is it possible that there's more than what they've shown? And
we did ask them. They said they have these 4 comic types right now.
Well, what's actually interesting is I asked one of the guys if they were going to be doing any DLC, and the first thing he brought up was like a Sin City kind of comic, which sounds freaking awesome.
I'm waiting to play the rest of them to pass judgment, but the fact that it changed so drastically from Comic Jumper the Hero to Golden Age Comic Jumper as like a twin stick shooter was enough to give me plenty of promise. Like, it's really good. The writing is really funny.
That was different.
You know who else was having a blast? Jay Fresh. Did you know this was his first PAX?
No, well, he went to PAX East though.
This was his first real PAX.
Real PAX.
Right, yeah.
PAX West.
No, dude, Jay was out there wheeling and dealing for Dead Space, man. It was awesome. He had the stasis pack
The
on,
backpack,
the
backpack.
and he was walking around with Isaac. It was freaking awesome.
I saw him like looking over people's shoulder and giving people tips on how to solve the puzzles. It's like he's a perfect for that sort of job.
It's a fresh
as much
job.
as I wish he was still working with us, like it's hard to hate on him when you get to see him do something so well.
And that's the best part about PAX is seeing people you miss. I mean,
Well,
getting
friends.
together with a bunch of friends or ex-coworkers.
And for us, it was at the X1UP panel.
Yeah, that was
where
great.
We all got to see a bunch of old 1UP buddies that I think some of us I haven't seen some of those guys like Luke and
I hadn't seen
and
Luke
Che
in like 3 years
in a while, man. So it was really good to see everyone all together again, joking around.
Yep. Shane came out. Jane came out, Kathleen came out, everyone came out, it was...
But everybody loves Jeff Green. I think he had like almost like 80% of the questions were Jeff Green questions.
Yeah, he was a rock star this show,
He
man.
was a rock star.
God bless him. I love Jeff Green, man. I love all those guys. It was a great experience to get to see everyone in one spot again. Overall, it was just a really fun show. Like, I can't wait till next year. I really want to try to get out to PAX East because I haven't experienced that one yet.
Yeah.
But even if I don't, I'll be back at PAX Prime for sure.
Definitely.
Man,
PAX is like my favorite event. All the gamers come out and just like play games, hang out, and just have a good time.
It's like no other show.
No,
for sure.
It's great. I mean, I wish the people that we didn't get to see, like Sean Elliott and John Davison and Sean Malloy, and those, I wish everyone was there. But
pour one out on Jason's
definitely.
rug.
Oh, dude.
Yo, this is outrageous, man. I can't believe this.
What?
$1.99 for an iPhone game? Are you kidding me?
So?
Dude, that's crazy.
Oh, come on. How much was your latte?
Well,